Hi, I'm Tom. I'm a TEFL qualified English teacher from the UK, currently living in Romania. As well as my TEFL certificate, I have a degree in psychology and philosophy and a degree level management qualification. My teaching experience has involved working with small classes in a day centre I set up in Manchester in the UK, and I did that over a period of about 3 years. English is my native language, and I also speak Romanian and Spanish. Romanian to a C1 level, Spanish to a B2/C1 level. Most of my work experience so far has been in crisis management, and that mainly involved managing teams and projects in Manchester in the UK and in setting up projects in other cities across England. Early on in my career, I also freelanced for about 6 years as a photographer and as a Romanian English interpreter. I'm using here OneNote Online, which would enable me to share a live document with the student, which they can add to and then access after the class. So here to explain the simple past and present perfect. Assuming I'd had an opportunity to evaluate the student's level of English before the class, I'd start with an example. Here, I went to England when I was young, or I went to England 10 years ago. I'd then ask some concept questions. I wouldn't have these on the screen, but I'd go through them with the student. So I could ask, are we talking about the past, present, or future? Do we know when I went to England? Am I still there now? And just give some explanations if necessary, to help them to understand how and when it's used, how the verbs are formed, that it's referring to completed actions in the past. I'd then ask them to match up some of the sentences. So you saw your brother in 2003 and so on. And having done that, I'd then ask them to create some short sentences, some narratives about a place that they visited, things that they'd seen there, when they went, all using the simple past. I'd then do something similar with the present perfect, using examples and concept questions, and perhaps more of an explanation. Just in my experience, the present perfect is perhaps more difficult to grasp. And could go through some of the adverbs used with the present perfect and use that to develop some examples, adding to some of these phrases here. And then go back to narratives and ask the student to build up some sentences using the present perfect. Once it seemed that they were clear with that, I'd ask them to either build a narrative using both the simple past and the present perfect, or perhaps go through some exercises where the student can fill in the correct conjugation of each verb in an online exercise. And then perhaps finish off with a conversation using the narrative written to kind of build on that a bit, to fill it out a bit more. So it's not just the simple past or the present perfect, but a wider conversation using both of those tenses in the conversation.